Hey guys, welcome to another week. It's your loving Unclejona here, drinking beers, so you guys don't have to. And we've got a good one today. You've probably seen it from the title to this video. And believe it or not, I bought this in my local pub. Absolutely nuts. It is this beer. Well, it would be if it focused on the beer. Emperor's Brewery, and this one's Scoundrel, but I don't think this is the normal version because this is the bourbon barrel aged. Well, it might be Four Roses bourbon barrel aged smoked Imperial breakfast stout. Holy shit! And it's 14% on the ABV. And I've been looking at this brewery and admiring it from afar because they're up in I think they're near Ashby de la Zouch. We're up near Loughborough, which is where my dad went to university. Um, so there's a bit of a connection up there. Well, I say up there, it's kind of Midlands, really. Um, so I've been loving this, and they do ridiculous stouts, basically. Right, we have got water, we've got barley, we've got oats, hops and yeast, but we've also got maple syrup, honey, malted extract, cacao nibs, and coffee. And this sounds very much like a beer I would have brewed back in the day when I used to do the home brewing. Um, we're talking probably 10 years ago. I used to do ridiculous things with honey. I have used maple syrup before. I've even used golden syrup in my beers before as an adjunct. And when they dry out or they ferment, they go very dry. But it's quite strong alcohol wise. So I'm not surprised that this is 14.5%. My God. And the other thing about Emperor Brewery that I like is the Jedi, the connection with Star Wars. It says you're not a Jedi yet, which is the saying from the Emperor, and of course there's Han Solo copping off with Princess Leia, who is sadly no more. Anywho, let's crack this bad boy open. I can't believe I'm doing this on a school night. But I have the day off tomorrow, dear viewer. I'm up to my shenanigans once again. Um, in fact, there are two things tomorrow that I'm going to. Um, I'm going to a brewery tomorrow because there is a secret new launch of a new brewery or a takeover by a brewery, and it's being brewed somewhere completely different. But also in the evening, I'm going over to, where is it? Is it Chatham? Um, I can't remember exactly where it is, but yeah, I'm being chauffeured by the ex-regional director of camera for Kent, and we're going over to the branch meeting, the Medway branch. So yeah, if you're out and about tomorrow, I might see you over that way. Wow, look at that! There is absolutely, wow, that is pouring like wow, pouring like a kind of, I was going to say maple syrup or something like that, and hardly any head on there at all. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. Will it focus on there? Need to get a new camera, a better camera. Oh, there we go. You can see the carbonation is very, very slight, but it's not forming any head. Now, if I do this to force some head, it might work. No, but can you see we now have that oily film kind of running down the side? Let me do it again. Right, there we go, running down the side of the glass. Not unlike whiskey. And because this is a whiskey barrel aged bad boy, absolutely ridiculous. Right, let us get a good picture because this is a good, I have to hold the can slightly at an angle. There we go. And then something like that. And then just a look of disbelief on my face because this is going to be a good beer. Oh, I'm almost getting high of the alcohol coming off there. Wow, that's kind of crazy. And this is the strongest beer I've had in a while. 14 and a half. In fact, Glenn, my pal from the tasting panel, gave me that ludicrous custard beer, which was really nice. Thanks, man. Um, and funnily enough, he left it in the Royston, and I wandered in when I was hammered, as one does. And he goes, "Oh, I've got a beer for you to try." It was left by someone else, and my God, that doesn't happen very often. Um, but yeah, really good. I'll have to contact Andy actually to see if he wants to come tomorrow. So what else are we getting? We're getting a sweetness there, and that's not surprising. We had lacto yesterday, but today it's maltodextrin. Um, yeah, another type of unfermentable sugar. Helps with body. It's meant to help with head retention, but yeah, not doing much of a good job there. Um, so I'm getting sweetness. I am getting sourness. I am getting the kind of sort of bourbony thing, the bourbony taste, bourbony aroma. Chocolate, maybe that's tied into the bitterness. Yeah, there is a bit of chocolate. What I'm not getting is the coffee, and it says it's got coffee in here, so we shall see. Cheers and beers. Oh, by the way, if you like this video, please click like. It does help out. Consider subscribing, all that kind of jazz. And why don't you say, have you ever had? Leave a comment below. Have you ever had a 14.5% beer? My God. Cheers and beers. Whoa, whoa. Thick, viscous, sweet. There is a bit of sourness. It's that kind of chocolate, really dark chocolate sourness. The bourbon's there too. Oh, my goodness me. I'm just, wow. Oh, and this beer was £10 for for a tiny can, 330. But it's a special one. It really is a special beer. They have got this Kessel Run beer as well. I think they had one left. Probably should have picked one of those up, but I didn't, alas. Um, wow. I mean, it's still giving me things in the aftertaste. Bitterness, the heat's there in the back of my throat. I mean, to say this is complex would be a misnomer. And having this as a barrel aged beer, I'm not 100% sure. I'm looking on Untapped, but the one they've got on Untapped isn't the same as this. It's only 13 something. So this is a special version. Um, yeah. So wow. And the can's a different color. This is a sort of, yeah, this is a gold. See, it's got a gold label. And the one I'm looking at on Untapped has got a blue label. So this is a rarer version. I'm so lucky to have, yeah, a really good pub that also acts like a bottle shop, and it's cracking. They are expensive though, and yeah, my God, imagine how many beers I could get with £10 if I went down to the supermarket. Mm. It's weird. It's sort of burning, and I've got this annoying habit of kind of inhaling through my nose as I'm drinking, and it gets me into trouble with usually with things like hot things, like a spiced cider, or a mulled wine or a mulled cider or something. Because as I'm drinking, I'm inhaling the kind of fumes, and it's happening to me with this beer as well. I should learn to kind of shut off or try to shut off my nose as I'm drinking. But getting the vapor, getting the fumes. Oh, wow. It is strong. It's a proper strong bad boy, but I have to say it's quite well balanced. I've got no idea of the hops in here, and it doesn't really matter, to be perfectly honest. Um, and I guess the oats are helping because it's kind of got that creamy thing, but because it's such a strong beer, that's kind of what takes over your senses. But the flavors, the deeper flavors in there, um, are really molding by the creaminess that you're getting from the mixture of the barley, but especially the oats in here. Wow. And there is quite a lot of biscuity kind of malt feel to it too, which is really, really interesting. This is not a session beer by any means, but wow, this is a good beer. And the brewery is a brew pub as well. You can actually visit it and drink beers at the brewery. How many of these could you knock back? Jesus Christ, absolutely nuts. But hey, if you're watching this, Emperor, cheers and beers to you. I would love to come and visit you, by the way. Don't know how that would work. I'd have to get a taxi or something. Oh. Now, I have to say, I'm more of a Scotch man than a bourbon man. But when you're buying barrels, obviously you have to get what you can. Um, and having bourbon barrels adds a bit of sweetness as well. Um, Same as kind of sherry kind of cask, like Pedro Jimenez kind of cask and that kind of stuff. So I like the way that they've mixed the two together. How are we doing? 12, almost 13 minutes in. I'm really struggling and I've only got a tiny bit left. But I'm going to be tasting this all night. So I think I've got another beer. I had a couple of them. I've got a Vocation, Naughty and Nice, and that's only 6.5. No, sorry, 5.9. So just six, barely six. But I think that will work really well after having this. Wow. That's really nice. It's a beer to savor, um, but it is kind of coming up. Oh, hang on, I've just got a bit of coffee there for the first time. That's really interesting. And it's filter coffee. It's not espresso coffee. That's what it tastes like. Yeah, sweet filter coffee. They've actually described this as a breakfast stout, I believe. Does it say Imperial breakfast stout? Yes. So having the coffee in there too. Number one, it's a good idea because you get that kind of slight bitterness that you get from the coffee, mixes well with the chocolate. Coffee and chocolate really do work well together. But you also have the kind of pick me up from the coffee too, because of the soporific effect that you get from the actual alcohol in the beer. And maybe to a certain degree, the alcohol that's been pulled away, or the flavors definitely that have been pulled away from the inside of that bourbon cask. Wow, just wow. It's a lovely, lovely beer. Yeah, the sweetness is also, I'd kind of forgotten about it to be honest, but also coming from the maple syrup too. that's imparted flavour to some degree. I would imagine that this beer um, has probably given out, or the yeast itself has given out at some point. And so, if it was strong enough at the beginning, things like the maple syrup, the honey perhaps, have kind of lingered in there because this doesn't taste dry. This does come across as sweet. So, my goodness, it must have been like an epic gravity to start with because there's a lot of stuff in the maltodextrin, and I don't know why you'd add extra kind of sugar to it, to be perfectly honest. I wonder if that was done as an afterthought, perhaps. Um, hmm, be interested to know your thoughts. Wow, that has made me very happy. Absolutely ridiculous. So that is the Scoundrel, but it's the Four Roses Bourbon Barrel Aged Smoked Imperial Breakfast Stout. Absolutely nuts. And that's at 14.5%. Like I say, the usual version is 13 and a bit. So this is a different entity altogether, dear viewer. I'm glad I shared it with you. And don't panic because there are going to be many more beers that I'm going to review. Like I say, I'm out and about tomorrow, going to a brewery and a social meeting. So yeah, I probably won't do another beer review tomorrow, but I'll be back on Wednesday. I will return with another beer review real soon.